Welcome to the last top 5 for this meta, guys. Today we're gonna be looking at the 5 best decks with which you could be hitting Easy Legend before the new season comes. I'm gonna talk about their mulligans, win rates, and general tips so you're better equipped to play with and against them, but we're also gonna check out all of the other working archetypes for each individual class so you know the full picture. If you find the video helpful, a like and subscribe would be appreciated, and don't forget you can check me out live on stream each Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, where I do my best to show you the best decks in action. But now, let's get into the video.
You are not prepared!
Before we get into the best decks, I'd like to remind you, you can join me on my new journey on my Raid Shadow Legends channel, where we do quite a lot of good detailed guides, shard opening videos, and anything in between so you guys can enjoy that game even more. I gotta tell you, back in the day when I heard about Raid, I thought it's not gonna be a game I would enjoy, but when I tried it, I literally could never let it go, and that is literally like 3 years ago. I've been enjoying the game quite a lot since then, and my account really does show for it, like I have some pretty stacked out account by now. Anybody who knows anything about Raid should basically know that in the blink of an eye, but yeah, the game is much better than you might have heard, much better than you thought. At least it is for me, I can tell it that much. And right now, if you guys want to support the channel for free, you can actually download Raid from my premium download link and start the game with 4 amazing champions in your first week. And not only that, you're gonna be able to get yourself a second legendary champion by using the promo code section in your first 48 hours, and you have quite a few amazing champions to choose from, even though my personal favorite would definitely be Pelops, so definitely grab that promo code and use it to get yourself this top tier champion from the start. Right now there's also this huge collab with Masters of the Universe, and you can get yourself Skeletor for free just by logging in for 7 days, so that would be a grand total of 3 legendaries just by using my promo download link, grabbing the promo code, and logging in for 7 days in your first week. So yeah, give the game a check, give my channel a check, and see if this is something you might enjoy. Hope to see you there. The first deck on the list is actually going to be Silverhand Pally, and this deck really does have quite the strong win rate and decent sample size, which is actually kind of surprising. Personally, I don't believe this deck to be that strong, but from Diamond 5 to Legend, it's definitely simple and strong enough to really give you a lot more wins than losses. This is an interesting mix with the Silverhand nonsense, plus a good amount of aggro stuff, and all around this is a pretty good pile of cards with which you could be climbing some easy ranks and quick. You do have the good Silverhand recruit cards, but we're not running the one that gives health because it's a little bit too slow. This deck still runs both the Emboldening Blades, which personally I find a little bit too slow, and even one sounds like a little bit too much if you ask me. But yeah, for the most part you have yourself the pretty good early game aggressive package, you do have yourself a decent mid game, and of course you do have the Nasdormu plus Toref, which both can be absolutely wrecking a lot of opponents. You do have a good chunk of board refill potential with things like Teamwork and Convalescence, and with this deck you're only fishing out Convalescence thanks to your Violet Treasure Guild, you're not running the Ramp Aura, and none of that nonsense. I do have a video about this deck from not that long ago, so you might want to check it out if you want to see more details, but now let's check out the matchups, and it doesn't have big enough sample size, at least for the last 3 days from Diamond 5 to Legend, so we can't really talk too much about that front. But as for the mulligan, when you're going first with it, here's what it's gonna look like. Of course, you are gonna be looking for your Violet Treasure Guild for a good turn 1 drop. The flight maneuvers is absolutely essential, the sooner the better. Getting yourself Brash Shadow Master can be pretty good, and this guy does have Rush on him. Fast No Morgan could be an okay thing, but honestly I would not hold on to this. I would much rather be looking for my Violet Treasure Guild. On the coin, again, much of the same stuff. Try to get yourself your early game curve, your flight maneuvers, that kind of stuff. Spot number 2 goes for another Paladin, and this time it's end turn Bubble Aura Paladin. This is the standard list we have been seeing plenty of across the last few months, and yeah, it's running the Gelbent package with all of the auras. It has Nasdormu and Toref again, all of the good end turn cards like Scalebreaker Bulwark, like the Spearheart Sentry, as well as the activation weapon. And on the 2 drops we do have both Acceleration Aura as well as Convalescence. We still run flight maneuvers, so all around it does have a pretty good chunk of everything. You could be quick early on, you could be good mid game, you could be great late game, that kind of stuff. And yeah, again, it's a pretty simple deck to be playing with and a great way to be climbing some easy ranks. I do have plenty of guides about this one, so definitely give those a check, but let's see what the updated matchups are looking like. And as you're gonna see, he literally doesn't have bad matchups, guys. Like, the worst thing is Egg Warrior at 48%, and how can we even call that worse? But yes, that's are showing this as such, so a very, very easy way to be climbing right right now. It's not gonna win every game, of course, but you are gonna be kind of favored against everybody, basically, as long as you curve out properly. Mulligan-wise, here's what we have. When you're going first, again, the Violet Treasure Gill is absolutely top tier. Getting yourself a 1-drop would be great. Straight out holding on to Acceleration Aura ain't the worst, even if you already have the Violet Treasure Gill, since this one does have 2 options for it. The Flight Maneuver is still pretty amazing, especially if you already have cheap stuff in hand. Convalescence can also be an okay keep. No Morgan, again, I'd much rather look for Violet Treasure Gill than to be holding on to this as a 2-drop. Against some matchups, even Nosdormu might make a lot of sense, but you gotta have a good curve for it. On the coin, again, try to get the Violet Treasure Gill, the good 1-drops, the Flight Maneuvers, and again, some of the 2-drops could be great. Nosdormu here can be even more OP, in which case you might even consider something like Inspiring Maul so you can double him up. And spot number 3, believe it or not, is indeed gonna be another Paladin, and yeah, people were not joking when we last saw the patch notes with the nerfs. Everybody was like, yeah, welcome Palistone, and here it is, guys. Here is Palistone indeed. We have a Bubble Paladin here, which is an interesting new iteration we haven't seen from way too back. It's like a 1 or 2 weeks old archetype. Not so much an archetype, but definitely an iteration of the deck we haven't seen before. And here we basically have a lot of good aggro early game stuff, as well as the good end turn stuff Pally likes, but we no longer run the Aura package with Gelbin, which we haven't seen before. It also runs things like Irvin Drake, which could be an excellent way to finish off opponents behind taunts. With this bad boy, you can basically be dealing 16 damage behind a taunt if you set up a Sand Fury Aura plus a weapon, and then plop this guy out. That would be indeed 8 damage twice, so that's kind of huge. We do have the full end turn game package, the Flight Maneuvers, and a lot of aggressive stuff, and also we do have a couple of Battle Vicars, with which you could be finding yourself a little bit of healing against those pesky face hunters. Again, check out my detailed guide from a few days ago. Should definitely clear up your picture about how you want to be playing it. When it comes down to matchups, again, not that many bad ones. Spell Demon Hunter would be on the negative side, but you're not going to face too many of those nowadays with the nerf happened. We can also scroll down and see that Egg Warrior is also definitely on the negative, but much of everything else is going to be pretty good for you. When first with this deck, again, you are going to be looking for the Violet Treasure Gill, so right now Violet Treasure Gill is definitely the most MVP minion for the class. The Twilight Egg is still fine, basically any other 1-drops could be great. The Flight Maneuver is still top tier. Past No Morgan again, I would not be touching it if I don't have a Violet Treasure Gill, and if I do, why the hell would I keep it? So there's that. Battle Vicar could make sense, especially against face hunters. Convalescence again could be okay, albeit this deck does run only a single 2-drop. You would much rather find your Violet Treasure Gill than hold on to this, but if you don't have this and this is already there, it's still good enough. The rest are probably not that great, even though again Nosdormu could make some sense. Going second, there's really no difference here, so mulligan accordingly. As for other good Paladin decks, this is the first one I showed you, 800 games, 62 plus win rate. The second one is this one, 61.5, 3100 games, and the third one is this one, 60 plus win rate, 15,000 games. Definitely nothing to scoff out on all fronts. And we do have more populated lists from the first one, like this one. Again, still looks pretty respectable compared to the other 2 decks I'm gonna show you for the rest of this top 5. So yeah, Paladin definitely does have some very serious win rate decks. We could scroll down even further, see other iterations of these decks, but they don't have as good win rates, so definitely use the ones I showed you. Imbue Paladin, barely playable, but it's under 50%, so don't expect too much out of it. Spot number 4 goes down to Warrior, and this is definitely one of the best, if not the best, free decks you could be using for Easy Legend right now, because this thing literally has no legendaries or epics you need to be crafting. The only legendary in here is the free Chromash everybody has, and the rest of it is literally just commons and rares, most of which you have for free right now, thanks to the free cards that are not gonna be free in a few weeks, but until then, you definitely still could be abusing this basically for free. Dragon Warrior has been a super solid deck for quite a while now, and even though things like Dark Rider as well as Prussian Slither Drake got nerfed, very lightly if we gotta be fair, it's still an absolute top tier beast of a deck with which you could be climbing even to high legend, so definitely don't sleep on it. You can check out one of my many guides and iterations of this deck if you really want to know how to play it, but now let's see what the updated matchups are looking like, and here we're gonna see that Unholy Death Knight as well as Merifra Druid and Aggro Druid could be a problem. You don't really face too many of those, even though Merifra at top legend definitely a bit more dominant. Scrolling down further, you're gonna see your gonna have a good fighting chance against the Pallies. Things like Quest Priest are slightly negative and definitely annoying to play with, but everything else definitely green, so again, climbing should be pretty easy with this one. When it comes down to the mulligans, here's what it looks like going first. You are gonna be looking for your good 1-drops, of course. Curving into a Broodkeeper or a Prussian Slither Drake can be a no-brainer. The Darkscale Broodmother gives you a lot of extra tempo. The Shadowed Informant can give you some interesting spells. Shadow Flame Suffusion I wouldn't really hold on to, when going first especially. And neither would I hold on to the lower stuff, so keep that in mind. On the coin, again, try to keep your good early game minion pressure and you should be good. For other good warrior decks, we could be seeing quite a few different iterations. This one is what I'm showing you, Dragon Warrior 58.5 with almost 10,000 games, and we do have several other Dragon Warriors with similar results. We could scroll down further and see things like Burn Warrior do decently well, but definitely nowhere near as Dragon Warrior. And I do believe this deck is definitely quite strong, especially if you know how to really play it, so you could check out my video about that one too. We can see also Herald Warrior is doing quite fine, even though it's not as good as Dragon. And scrolling down further, we can also see Egg Warriors, definitely still pretty playable and annoying to play against, that's for sure. But it's basically just iterations of these. Definitely plenty of different options for Warrior right now, but if you're seeing a Warrior, you're most probably against Dragon. Quest Warrior apparently is also playable right now, but definitely not as amazing as the rest of them. And the last deck on the list is again gonna be Herald Shaman, and this deck really hasn't been stepping off the top tiers for quite a while now, even though it was a little bit missing in action, like sitting around the top of tier 2, it never really fell off hard, it was always constantly above 55-56% win rate, so it has always been a good option to be playing with, and this one is actually running double Envoy of the End, a bit heavy if you ask me, but it also does run a single copy of Hex, so you can be handling with some egg decks quite easily, and Lightning Storm, so you can be handling some white boards. Aside from that, everything else does look pretty standard stuff. You do have 2 Wailing Vapors. If you want to be including an extra Hex or Storm, you might want to be cutting 1 Vapor, or 2 if you want to include both. You could also consider dropping in a Viper in here if you're having troubles against things like Quest Priest as well as Quest Mages, but you shouldn't be seeing too many of those from Diamond 5 to Legend at least. But yeah, the flex cards are usually the Wailing Vapors and maybe one of the Envoys of the End. Again, give a check to my many detailed guides about Herald Shaman, several different iterations and whatnot, so definitely could learn a lot of those. When it comes down to matchups, here's what we have. Spell Demon Hunter used to be not a very great one, but that got nerfed. Same can be said for Face Hunter, which also got nerfed and it's not as popular right now. Burn Mage, a lot like Face Hunter, is definitely decently strong against you because this list doesn't have much healing in it. I have seen plenty of lists actually run the 12 healing inside. Yeah, here it is. Healing Rain. Some people cut Elise for that. That's kind of weird if you ask me, but it is what it is. Like, if I'm going to be cutting something, it's probably going to be the 1-drop. But yeah, scrolling down further, we can see we're going to be fine against most Pallies, or at least 50-50. And scrolling down at the bottom, Warriors are also not going to be that big an issue for you. When it comes down to mulligans, going first, here's what we have right now. You are, of course, going to be looking for your Herald stuff, your good early game 1-drops. The Witch Sapple is also fine. Primordial Overseer plus Static Shock can be a great combo. Flight of the Firehawk can be great, especially if you already have a turn 1 or 2 at least. And depending on the matchup, you might consider either Lightning Storm or Hex, depending on what you expect. Curving into a Xavius or into an Elise can also make a lot of sense. On the coin, again, it's much of the same stuff, so there is that. For other good Shaman decks, we really haven't seen much in terms of other good Shaman decks for quite a while now. You could pretend Elemental Shaman is somewhat playable, but it really isn't. This is the list I'm showing, 58.4% win rate, 3,600 games, definitely pretty decent in this meta, and we can see other iterations with similar results, quite a big sample size, that kind of stuff. But yeah, right now it's either Herald Shaman or don't play Shaman at all. Going through the classes we haven't mentioned, Unholy Death Knight is definitely looking quite playable lately, even though in top Legend you're really not gonna have much success with this one, but from Diamond 5 to Legend this can definitely take you there. Herald Death Knight also playable, but definitely not amazing. As for Demon Hunter, Broxigar Demon Hunter definitely feels really strong right now, and you can check out my detailed guide about it if you want to know more. Spell Demon Hunter still definitely pretty playable. Yes, it is a little bit slower, and it does lose a little bit more than it used to because of the nerf, but still definitely pretty usable. You can also see Herald Demon Hunter doing quite okay, but nowhere near the crazy results Spell Demon Hunter used to have. When it comes down to Druid, Mirror for Druid is gonna be the king. Big Druid apparently is a lot more playable now. Didn't really expect to be seeing these stats here, but it does look kinda cool. We can also see Aggro Druid somewhere in here. Definitely not as good as it used to be. The last nerf really did clap it quite hard. Here it is. This one is the Vanessa variant actually, which is kinda interesting, but yes, it does work with Elise and whatnot. I do have a video about that one from before the nerf though. And scrolling down further, further, we can see straight out aggro druid with Wildwood Circle. It's really not doing that hot though. For Hunter, it's kind of crazy to see a top 5 without a face Hunter in it, and technically we could have pretended this one has enough sample size for it, but it really doesn't. In top legend you can still be seeing plenty of face Hunters and get pretty good results with them too, but from Diamond 5 to legend it really ain't what it used to be. Nerfing it down the Tolvir up to 4 definitely made it a wee bit slower, just enough for people to actually stabilize, so now it is indeed a wee bit slower. And we gotta scroll a little bit further to see Companion Hunter, which is still as strong as it used to be kinda, but of course you do need to curve out into it properly. Other than that, I've seen people do well with Quest Hunter, but according to the stats it's really nothing to write home about, barely above 50% with barely any games in it. As for Mage, Burn Mage seems to be the best deck right now, but we can also see some iterations of Leyline Mage with decently respectable win rate, like 53, 55, definitely not that bad, but definitely not top tier either. Quest Mage I do believe is still the best deck you could be taking to top legend if you're really smart about controlling your randomness, but for me it's not a very pleasant deck to be playing. Scrolling down further, we can't really see much of anything else. Yeah, apparently Imbue Mage at the bottom is the 4th archetype right now, but definitely not great. For the Priest class, Control Priest has been doing quite well. Control slash Quest Priest, it's kind of the same deal, even though here we can see quite a few different choices for the deck. A lot more shadow spells and turn effects, some interesting randomness, that's for sure. Umbra is also in here, like this deck feels weird. I guess we're trying to repeat the Death Rattle from the quest and complete it a little bit quicker, and apparently this deck has higher win rate, but does look awfully weird, not gonna lie. The Quest Priest I do believe is much more safe of a playstyle, definitely feels pretty strong against most matchups if you know how to play it, but other than that you really don't have too much else for Priest. When it comes down to Rogue, honestly I do believe Rogue is the best class in the game right now, but from Diamond 5 to Legend people really don't get to abuse it to its full potential. Like here's the stats from Diamond 5 to Legend, 53-ish% win rate with 5,500 games, definitely not bad, but it's not like the crazy results you get to see in top Legend. People really get to abuse this thing to the max, and right now Vanessa really is absolutely OP, and if you know how to play this deck you're really gonna have a very easy time climbing to top Legend with it. We can see several different iterations of Rogue, like there's Imbue Herald, just Imbue, just Herald, and people even do some straight out aggressive aggros up in the high ranks, but from Diamond 5 to Legend you're really not gonna see all much of that. So yeah, it is definitely a pretty strong class, but very skill testing as well. And the last class on the list of course is gonna be Warlock, and here just Egg Warlock would be worth mentioning. Anything else is well under 50% win rate, so don't even bother with it. So that's gonna be it for this top 5, guys. This is indeed the last top 5 for this meta, and the next one should be when the new expansion comes, so hold tight until that happens. Till then, you could be abusing these decks to their full potential. I hope you found it helpful, and if you did, a like and subscribe would be appreciated. And don't forget to check me out live on stream each Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. I also will be a part of the Fury Crafting streams really soon, so be on the lookout for those ones, because I will be doing quite a few giveaways for regular and mega bundles thanks to Hearthstone. Don't forget you can support the channel for free by downloading Rage from my premium download link and using the promo code section in your first 48 hours for an extra amazing legendary champion. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm Kris05, and I'll see you in my next video or stream.